Tell me when to go.
Go.
Okay, now the second axle should be a lot easier than the first axle, because what you just have to do is tell them the part, and that you check it just like you did on the front axle. Now, if there's something different, like with the tires, then you have to explain that to them. So let's get started here. Again, remember, you're checking the frame, and there's no damage, no major holes, no weld repair. Come down to your shock absorber. Check the shock absorber just like I did up front. Check my leaf springs just like I did up front. Check my U-bolts just like I did up front. Check the front and the rear spring hangers just like I did up front. Now the second axle has something that the front axle didn't have, and that's airbags. So I'm going to check my airbags are securely mounted, no missing nuts and bolts, not bent, cracked, broken, or worn. Naturally, they're not leaking. Okay, then I'm going to come in. I want to check my brake hose, just like I did up front. I want to check my brake chamber, just like I did up front. I want to check the slack adjuster and the push rod, just like I did up front. I want to check the brake drums and the brake shoes, just like I did up front. I want to check the inner and the outer oil seals, just like I did up front.
Then an axle seal.
Now, here, the hubcap, secure, no missing nuts and bolts, not bent, cracked, broken, or worn, not leaking. You can't say like you did up front because it's different. Also, your rims. Now these are Bud rims. Bud rims, so you gotta make sure that they're mounted securely, they're evenly spaced, and there's no debris stuck in between the rims. Okay? But make sure you tell them they're Bud rims. You also want to make sure you tell them, using an air gauge, going to make sure you got about 100 pounds of air.
Check both stems.
What's that?
They don't want to hear you when you check both valve stems.
Oh, okay, my wife's saying you got to mention checking the inner and outer valve stems, making sure you got about 100 pounds of air. Make sure the valve stem's not damaged or leaking. Valve cap in place. Check the lug nuts. First, they're all present and they're snug, which means there's no rust trails or shiny threads. Then the back tires. Back tires, again, using a tread gauge. Make sure you got at least 230 seconds of tread. It's okay to have recaps. Make sure the tread's wearing evenly. You don't have mismatched tires. My wife said I forgot to mention the rims. Check the rims. Not bent, cracked, broken, not worn, no weld repair. So that should be the second axle. Like I say, that was a lot easier than the front axle because a lot of the stuff was just like you did up front. And just remember that.
Mud flap.
If anything, it's exactly the same as up front, like the shock, the leaf springs, the U-bolts, the spring hangers. You don't have to go into that detail. And that's going to hold true on the third axle when we get back to that. Okay, I'm going to take a break here and get my thoughts together. So I'll be with you in a couple seconds.